you still think that China has some life left in it. Me personally, I think you can spell China without NA. I think they can pull it off, although the plays might sometimes be
was
wonky.
that a positive?
Yeah. That could interpret it the way you want it to. I mean, we saw what NA could do at the Western Clash, right?
Okay, let me interpret it for you, please.
no. Let him be the translator. Please, let us know what Kendrick meant to say with that. Please, Caldor.
No, I want China to do well. I want TheOne to come out and say, okay, we also spotted some weakness in the play of BlossoM. We've watched the previous series. We think we spotted something that we can exploit, and I want them to do exactly that. If we get that, I'm a happy panda. I'm just really afraid because I expected a lot from SBT. I didn't get any of that, and I hope that TheOne doesn't make the same mistake. So, remember, if I get a 5-map series here right now, with TheOne bringing BlossoM to the limit, then I'm a happy panda.
To be honest, though, I think if you compare this series to the previous one, both of those teams are a different caliber. Tempest obviously being the #1 spot from Korea, and SBT being the #1 spot from China. I think both those teams are maybe going to face each other on a more narrow skill level. That's at least what we would like to see. And TheOne, they're a team that's pretty hard to predict, I guess, for BlossoM on the other side as well, because there's only so much data they could get, and this is a brand new team. It's the first international tournament for them to ever play.
Yeah, this series is definitely way more open-ended compared to the series that we've seen before. This is the one that I come in today and I say, all right, maybe this is a wild card. What did I do there? TheOne. That one was on accident, actually. And when I do a pun, I mean to deliver it. That one was on accident. But regardless, I feel like this series can be... Gosh, now I have TheOne just stuck in my head. And I feel like I can't say this. Like, I don't want to trip up and have Caldor point it out and give me that dumb smirk. And then Kendrick's like, what are they talking about? Like... That's not what I want to happen right now. I just want to go straight to the draft.
By the way,
Junkrat's banned.
You're not overthinking this at all.
Definitely not overthinking it. This is very, very different, though. First off, Maiev being open, Tyrael being open as well, Genji at the same time. TheOne is attempting to switch up the way that we are drafting this weekend.
I mean, at this point, you have to just simply say, okay, I mean, I don't know if you can actually bait a Maiev, but that they simply said, okay, we're going to ban Junkrat, you're going to pick Maiev, and now I'm actually a bit surprised that we don't have a snap reaction by them, because if you let Maiev get through the draft, then I expect you to have an answer.
Yeah. I mean, Genji Uther is still a pretty potent answer in most situations, and Junkrat has been causing a couple of issues, actually, for numerous teams all day long.
But why don't you ban Tyrael here if you don't intend to go with them? Now you give Tyrael over to Maiev with a dive comp?
Yeah. That seems a bit...
risky? Odd? Not the way we would go with the draft if we want to win.
I'm going to say they have a different answer here.
Okay. Well, BlossoM's still thinking about what they want to move into.
There's no way that you let a Maiev through the draft when you don't have at least a game plan where you say, okay, we can beat this, we can deal with it. So with them going straight into an Uther and Genji composition, saying we ban Junkrat over Tyrael, maybe they want to outplay them, play a bit more for macro style here as well. We could see Dihaka coming in, force that, playing a bit around the global. Here's Tyrael. Not coming as a surprise. I mean, that's expected.
Well, that maybe is a little bit of a surprise here. We don't see the almost mandatory Malfurion being locked in immediately, but instead we see a good old friend of ours. It is the Rhaegar. And maybe I want to, you know, touch a little bit upon the Illidan potential that we have from TheOne. Hugo, it's his favorite hero by far. And if you think about the Maiev interaction, not only do they hate each other or love each other in the lore, but also Illidan could potentially evade all those tethers, all those Umbral binds quite well, and just stick to the Maiev when she thinks she's got the upper hand.
Could be. Rhaegar is still the one hero where I look at and I'm asking myself why, especially since we still have Malfurion around, and we have seen a lot of Malfurion play here. And the one thing that immediately comes to mind is that BlossoM says, hey, this is a little bit fishy already with them giving us Maiev. Now they give us Tyrael too. Something's odd here. So I think from their point of view, they simply said, Uther's taken. Let's just make sure that we have a cleanse.
Yeah, they want to have a safety net to follow up on. There's also the possibility they want to go multiple melee, where Rhaegar does excel in when it comes to being one of the best supports for helping there. And also, we could have that controlled Illidan that you're mentioning. Blaze comes out as a ban here for TheOne, keeping them away, allowing them to be a little bit on the aggressive side with that Genji. Garrosh being hovered here for BlossoM, and they're going to take him out right away.
Yeah, and it remains to be seen whether TheOne wants to find one of those remedies that has worked in the past quite well against Maiev, the Johanna. One of the few tanks in the game that could potentially negate some of that CC potential from the Maiev. She could stick to her, she could actually lock her down, interrupt her maybe. Johanna not really necessarily one of the most successful warriors traditionally.
I'm ready, by the way, for this now. I want to see a bit of that.
The plan.
Yeah, I want to see the plan. We're going full A team right now.
I'm still sold on the double Arthas we got to see earlier in the tournament against a Maiev. It didn't pan out for the team that did play it, but still, the one floating around here trying to decide on what they want to pick up is scaring me slightly.
And as Calder said, they're taking their sweet time for this, either just to make sure to be 100% on the same page, or maybe they're all of a sudden quite unsure of where to go to with this draft, now that they've got themselves into a little bit of Maiev trouble.
Let me ask you something. Am I, by the way, the only one that always hears "Let the bodies hit the floor" from TheOne with Jet Li, the movie, every single time I see their name on this?
No, I was thinking about making that joke, but I didn't know if that movie is, like,
known enough?
Niche. Yeah, like...
I was thinking about that for like a day now, and I always thought about how can I weave it in, and at this point I was just like, am I maybe the only one who even has that
funny,
thought process?
Though, because to me as well, it triggers a little bit of a connotation here, but it's always the Highlander movies, you know?
Yeah,
that can only be one.
But you know the movie, right? Jet Li, TheOne?
Absolutely.
It was a bit of a freaky one, but the soundtrack made it pretty cool, and it was actually kind of fun.
It's an oldie.
Yeah,
what a good
definitely is. I don't know how many people actually know that, so it's a good call that you made that we shouldn't go too punny on it, because, let's face it, might be that everybody
are you calling us
like
old?
Around.
Trixley, is that what you're trying to get
Yeah,
at?
the oldest guy on the panel is calling you old. Exactly.
I think that movie came out right before DVDs, so any of those VHS watchers are like, oh, I know what movie you're talking about. And other people in the chat are like,
hey,
what's
we're
a
talking
VHS?
to a guy that doesn't know what Monkey Island is. So
okay, you're right, you're right. Speaking about an oldie and a good one, Johanna gets picked up, as you were mentioned. Strong against Maiev, good control, being able to deal with that pressure that would be coming their way, but BlossoM will now have to decide how they want to follow up this engage. They go with the Karazim and the Dahaka, so multiple melees coming out for them, and Maiev being their main damage dealer with Karazim to help.
Now all of a sudden we have this very interesting double support constellation. Although Karazim doesn't really fit into that main role as a secondary support, he can be played very aggressively. He has a couple of interesting tools that can protect allies while at the same time having aggressive potential as well. Earth Ally comes to mind just in case there are those strong auto attackers left to be picked here. What do you make of this Karazim, Calder?
It's a really good question, because they are insanely melee heavy right now, and I'm wondering how the one is going to deal with that. First of all, we have Malthael already in the mix on the side of the Chinese team with an Uther, so an opening that we've seen in the previous series several times, Genji, Uther, Malthael at the start. And Malthael himself should get an insane amount of value out of Tormented Souls when he jumps into these team fights. I could see that coming in here as well, but even poke damage from a distance that is safe would be something they can play around with. Even, I mean, you could go... Can you get away with Gul'dan here? We haven't seen a lot of Gul'dan, but then again, if we're going to talk about mages potentially and going up against extremely melee-heavy setups...
Yeah. All right. It is the Tychus, after all. A good old familiar face there as well. You know, Ballistics especially likes him so much, SDE being a true Tychus god. Now, when we look at those two drafts and the different philosophies that we've got here, like willingly giving up the Maiev versus just going for one tank only, which do you like a little bit more after seeing those?
I think TheOne hurt themselves with their draft here just based on that Junkrat ban. First off, because they gave away the Tyrael. Like, I'm okay with you like trying to give away the Maiev, but I feel like if you're going to have that dive-centric composition available, you don't give them Tyrael. Tyrael is one of the best warriors at trying to force that. So I would have liked to see a Tyrael ban there instead. And that also double hurt them because they couldn't find a poke hero towards that late stage that they could have used. And Junkrat would have been great to slot in here.
Again, is it crazy to think about Gul'dan here? And of course, we're coming in from
the
Western meta hero. We know that the Eastern teams haven't really picked Gul'dan, so I get that completely. But from a Western perspective, Gul'dan would have been able to keep him alive, right? Around Uther, Johanna.
I think I would have. I see where you're going. I think Gul'dan is so hard to play into Maiev. I would have preferred a mage that was a little bit more safer, maybe a Chromie even, something a little bit further back. But
yeah,
Slowing Sands Chromie.
I see where you're going.
Thing is,
Didn't even think about Chromie.
Yeah.
Gul'dan can normally keep himself alive a little bit as well there. But I don't want to take any time away from you guys because we're going to dive into the action of game number 1 between TheOne and BlossoM.
Yeah, and with this comp that we are having here, TheOne was incredibly confident that they could get away with giving up Maiev. So we're going to find out if BlossoM in this case is now saying, okay, thank you very much for the free win, or if TheOne has the answer with their composition here. And considering that they also run against a global, it's going to be a bit rough, I feel.
And the thing about melee compositions, too, is typically in the early game, they're a tad bit stronger, being able to force the fights, find a target, and punch them down pretty quickly, especially with the Karazim being here. So BlossoM intends to have a strong opener here on Sky Temple. And again, you having a strong opener on Sky Temple usually puts you in a good spot heading to the mid game.
And they are just 5-manning it, with now Dehaka taking up at the top lane, but their 4-man rotation has headed down. And they're going to try and brawl here. That's already transparent right from the get-go. There's only a bit of range damage that we see on Taika's end, and of course to an extent from Genji as well, but there's just rotations happening between the map, and they would be happy if they at any point can jump on an isolated target.
Already, you see that as mentioned, as TheOne and Karazim are watching that right side rotation that you typically see between the bottom lane and the middle lane. TheOne, though, adjusting pretty well to this, have put 2 in the top to bully out this Dehaka as much as they can. Hugo having a good lead there will set them up well, but also gives them the opportunity to move towards a night camp with that aggressive pressure at the top and allows for them to try and peel BlossoM away from their game plan.
Yeah, very quick camp also about to be taken on BlossoM's side, so that will put extra pressure onto the bot lane. Where Tychus is currently alone, and that's something where he has to be careful if Maiev is able to move in for the tether.
There's that night camp we were talking about. I'm just watching his rotations right now. BlossoM trying to echo back as well, grabbing theirs to the top left. One of the good things about grabbing a Rhaegar, being able to clear those up.
Yeah, it's interesting that Tychus is actually just moving up to the top, so apparently Malthael is going to take over bot lane duty, and Karazim can't quite believe what's going on because he has been hiding in that bush the entire time at the bottom lane, not quite realizing what was happening here. But this is of course for BlossoM a pretty solid situation now where they can use their own towers to defend against the camp here. Good tethers coming in, aggression from BlossoM as they are moving in and seeing if they can maybe even land a kill.
TheOne sticking near the spell aura, trying to stay alive here, make sure they get pulled down too much. Dehaka going to be coming in with the drag candy landing. He lands it straight on top of Luther, and that's one down, a second one down as well, and TheOne losing it 2 members in that fight. This melee composition paying off for BlossoM.
Super solid double kill that we have, and of course the camp now also taken out, towers assisting in it, and we have still the camp available with the spell aura, which is the most important part for BlossoM as they move through the top lane. Yeah, Dudu at this point able to just move away. No problem here fighting off again Hugo and Meng. But things are not looking too pretty for TheOne in the early game, especially with the damage that BlossoM is currently pushing out against the top wall.
No, this is looking horrible. A 4-level lead over TheOne. They take down the turrets in the top right corner, continue to keep pushing, and the spell aura is still nice and healthy, and they have a Maiev that can go at any point. Speaking of it, 2 tethers connect. We're going to have TheOne come up for the defense with that spell aura, helping out a ton here for BlossoM.
Rhaegar was in a bit of trouble here, but is able to move out. The problem is that now the well is about to fall too, and that means if you take over the top temple, you are immediately firing away against the fort itself. There's so much structural damage already on the one side that this is starting to become extremely scary for the Chinese team.
That it is, and TheOne hoping to make a play here, gets aggressive on Dudu. He's going to be able to jump away. Now, I do want to mention Dehaka right now. Wiz is really making this pay off for BlossoM. Typically, when you're running a multiple melee type of composition, Dehaka being in a spot where they can double soak and still rotate in with that global ability is a wonderful pickup. And BlossoM so far is showcasing that as Dehaka soaked for those double lanes while BlossoM pushing the top.
Yeah, BlossoM pushing the... First of all, getting the temple in the middle, and even now the pressure play here against Hugo, but we see them starting to get a bit more aggressive towards camps as well. Once more, we have also at the top level 7 talents, by the way, already in the hands of BlossoM. The fort at the top is still in play for TheOne, but we have now a chase in the mid lane as they are attempting to go for Genji.
And Meng on the top right will jump straight into a Karazim that delivers a couple of punches to his face, but able to kite back towards Zara, who will give him the heal, but TheOne has to pull away completely, and BlossoM should be able to take over this middle temple. Hugo goes in and tries to be a little on the aggressive side, but it does not pay off. But the good news is the rest of his teammates came in. Can they get a kill?
Malthael going in here, and especially Dudu on Karazim, unleashing the Sandstorm, going full the route here.
Wow, the Sandstorm is a kick-in, and TheOne will be able to grab the last couple of shots here in the middle lane. It'll zap down a tower, give them a little bit of experience, and they're hanging in there. The question mark for, I think, us is what happens at level 10. Will TheOne be able to handle a fight against BlossoM?
The aggressive invade, yes. BlossoM is just saying, we are ready to fight, and they're going for it. Lucky, not so much. Moving out, barely surviving here. The tethers are in, as we're seeing once again. Maiev unleashing the power here. Meng barely jumping out. Modern has to be careful, Maya, but they also have the healing ward in the back that keeps them alive for the self-sustain. Meng goes in and barely dances back out. No kill just yet as Johanna falls, and that unleashes it all. Tyrael on the other side is exploding. They get Malthael, a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Team BlossoM as they also sneak in the camp.
An absolutely ridiculous fight there. Malthael in a position where he was actually getting a solid amount of auto attacks and cleaving consistently against BlossoM, but the healing and shields were just barely enough for BlossoM to find a kill and then a second one. The Giants also go over to BlossoM at the same time, and they are sieging this fort on the bottom. And with 10 right around the corner, TheOne won't be in a spot here to contest his temple that's spawning soon.
And again, just look at the structural damage. It's not only the Giants that are having the the fort at half HP, but in the meantime, the wave itself took out one of the towers. Now we have nearly level 10 for BlossoM. That's an easy boss if they want it, or they can simply make the play for the temple itself.
Especially with Tyrael being on there. Completely good point there for Galdor. BlossoM has that push in the top left. TheHawk can stay there and hang around the entire time. All signs point to yes here for BlossoM for a quick victory in game number 1, but TheOne, they're doing their best here to get to 10 and just try to hold their best.
TheHawk also with the global now, even adding more power to that push through the night camp at the top lane. And already we have BlossoM sharking around at the boss area. Now they have to be slightly cautious since TheOne is of course closing on level 10 abilities too. But we still have them with the opportunity to also pressure through the bot lane. It's options that we're talking about. BlossoM, they have many of them.
They have many of them, but they have to decide on one. That's one of the things that we have criticized with this team this entire weekend. Their decision-making at some points have been a little bit reluctant, which has hurt them. Now, will it be enough here for TheOne to eke their way back in? So far, looking like BlossoM takes the easier of options as they put one member on that bottom temple to siege away the forts. And they're going to start breaking down some forts. The one in the middle is at half health, the one at the bottom also low. So that means BlossoM can start to get a nice chunk of experience going their way.
And they do exactly that. And of course, it's all about structures. And we have the fort falling at the bot lane. The one in the middle, as you said, is about to drop as well. And there's still the TheHawk to be considered. He was put under a bit of pressure earlier since TheOne has taken their own night camp. But he's dealing with it as we speak and can always join the battle here if need be. But we have BlossoM spreading out onto 3 lanes and soaking the experience, just simply trying to out-macro the Chinese.
Yeah, want to stay ahead. When you have a melee composition, you definitely want to make sure you do stay ahead. So you get the experience in the middle and TheHawk on the top. It's working on that 13. Whew. And with that spreading, TheOne not paying attention as BlossoM goes in for an engage in the middle, and they find a Malthael who's now dead for 20 seconds.
Yeah, going in, and making sure that they get the quick 7-sided as the cage was already in. And that's another dead Malthael. And in terms of kills, 6 against 1, BlossoM is definitely playing their cards right.
That Karazim really does have a catchy name. We should make that into a catchy song at some point.
Yeah, I feel like it's a really good idea. I think that could become a bit of an esport thing.
Yeah, it definitely could become a thing in the future. We'll have to back pocket that one as Lucky has taken some damage here from Doo as he moves in for the engage, looking to be a little aggressive there. I think I missed one. Whoops. 13-11 as BlossoM takes the lead, and they are in full control right now. TheOne still has yet to get a team fight, though.
And there's still the boss around. So, as you said, the team fight, we haven't really seen one from TheOne yet. And if, on a serious note, I mean, maybe when they play with Torment and Souls and they get the Divine Shield off of a good moment, they have Odin sharking in from behind and just like firing away one barrage after another. There is some chance for them. But of course, in an ideal world, they would try to get the level 13 talent before they engage into any of those shenanigans. The thing is that what I really like about the Korean teams we've seen play so far is they are doing an exceptional job most of the time to run advantages and trying to pressure with them. And this is exactly what we're seeing. You have a talent advantage, you have camps at the bot lane, you're trying to pressure with them, at least a bit. And that's what they're doing now, as the rest of the team is still holding the flanks, making sure that nobody's moving in from behind and cutting off the path of retreat.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's been Karazim that's been on the side that's been watching those flanks, and if he ever does get into a one-on-one, if a flank comes their way with having 7-sided strike, typically he can win out on that trade while his team rotates over to help out with the fight. So clever movement here by BlossoM, and great setup for them as they anchor themselves. With a temple activating in about 5 seconds, BlossoM will have a chance here to grab another temple, but TheOne is about to hit level 13, and we've talked about it a couple of times. That's their chance to get a fight.
And they should be trying to look for it now because they're 1.5, nearly 2 levels behind now. So the hail on coming back into this game, the comeback potential lies in team fights. But they are trying to move to the top and claim the temple instead for now. Wiz already smelling this out, immediately moving back. It's a very smart and heads-up play that we saw from BlossoM here.
They have to be careful though. They can't put too many people on the top, or that boss play could happen here for BlossoM. And they did have 2 on the top, but Tychus rotates down. Here's a Warden's Gate as Modern goes in. He's stuck in a corner here as Johanna getting lower and lower. Finally does get picked off with Lucky picking out TheOne. They're going to attempt to fight back.
Yeah, no reason to laugh anymore for Hehe as he goes down, and we have the rest of the team jumping into that backline as we see Genji all of a sudden trying to go in for the kill, but he gets stunned out and drops.
Wow, Wiz with the good drag there, catching Genji mid-Dragon Blade to help secure the kill. Lucky barely gets away from the fight, but the fight is done. BlossoM can turn around and grab a boss, and they've already started it.
Yeah, they're going straight for it. So snap decision-making on the side of the Koreans here. 3-level lead, the talent advantage on top of it, and in the meantime, the pressure at the bot lane already through the camp. There are still shots left on the 2 temples, so BlossoM can now make the play for the bottom keep if they want to. They can also spread out on the map, trying to work already towards level 20, make sure that we soak the experience, and they find Johanna in the mid lane.
They find Johanna in the middle lane. She's able to get away thanks to that iron skin with Tahaka going on the top side as well as Kiersey in the south.
Ugo!
This is a 3-man gank. And wow.
Yeah.
The reason why that pays off is Hugo is by himself. Due to the fact that he sees 2 temples being grabbed with Tahaka and Kiersey on the bottom, assuming that the team is not going to be rotating towards him. And BlossoM, with the sneaky play, snags him away.
Unlucky.
Unlucky, indeed. One of my favorite things to say.
Well, Hehe at this point is still trying to defend here at the top. It's really a bit of a frustrating situation for them. The boss already eliminated the keep at the bot lane. Now we are seeing BlossoM with a 3-level lead up at the top. Here comes the tether, and BlossoM, they are looking for the fight here. Tahaka is not with them, but he could at any point just burrow in and try to get the drag against the backline.
He doesn't even need to, though. BlossoM doing such a good job of poking, getting the one to respawn back with all 5 members in that top lane just to keep their keep alive, and that allows Tahaka to continue to keep running forward in the leading experience here. 17.5, almost level 18. Every time any type of mercenary camp pops up, BlossoM beeline straight forward, and they're grabbing the giants on the opposing side.
They're pinning the map blue at this point, and for TheOne, the name of the game is soaking experience, attempting to get level 16. That would give them a fighting chance for team fights, because so far they haven't really gotten the setups that they were hoping for. And we have asked the question during the draft, what's the answer for MyF? And the current answer has to be they don't have one. At least not at this point. We need to see them find that perfect team synergy that allows them to take a victory here and a few kills, because so far they've only gotten 1, and that is just simply not enough.
TheOne is quickly running out of chances here to get back in this game, but they still have 1 more right around the corner, level 16. Will they be able to force a fight? BlossoM so far this game has done such a good job of dancing around TheOne. The chase here is a difficult one, but they have to find a way to get in. Gosh, I keep saying TheOne. That is a team name that is desperate to cast. It's so difficult.
The one chance, the one opportunity.
It's once in a lifetime. Oh my, well, the BlossoM might just try to give a fight over to TheOne. They have a spell aura push in the top line, a massive push moving on in. TheOne turns around, starts to fight. They're trying to at least get Odin pop.
Yeah, and there goes the cage on the other hand, and immediately we have also Sanctification being used, and Tychus is down. Lucky, a bit unlucky in this situation, as we have the 2nd kill tinkering in. It's a triple, it's a quad, and it's a team wipe as we see BlossoM annihilate TheOne and starting to march straight towards the core, making sure that game number 1 ends up in the hands of the Korean team. BlossoM with the lead in the series.
Control in the early game, complete control in the mid game, and complete control over the macro. BlossoM is able to take this game here. Quick 1-0 over TheOne, and Korea continues their dominance over China.